asking, why is it so hard why is it so hard to ignore them and the way that they ignore us? So when we're talking about we're talking about toxic exes. So if you are on my page, you follow me, you know what I do. We talk about toxic relationships, and more importantly, we don't just talk about them, because I know it's almost become a trend to talk about toxic people, toxic relationships, narcissists. But what's more important for me and how I help my clients is I help them to work on healing beyond that. So this is not your topic of conversation next year, right? You are able to heal from it. You're able to move on. We talk about what healing looks like, because sometimes people think healing is just, like it never happened. No, but it's getting you to a space where this is not a topic that you're consumed with anymore, because you're not feeling that ongoing pain anymore. You're not feeling that confusion, that betrayal. You're not attracting the same type of toxic people, right? So that is what healing is. It's really about evolving, right, to a wiser, more clear version of yourself. So that is what we do here. So my name is Nailah Abdullah. I am a mental health therapist from my career in the past. I currently function as a life and relationship coach. Also, I've called myself toxic relationship coach. I've pivoted a bit with that title because I do believe that, beyond the toxic relationship, it's really about rebuilding your life, rebuilding your relationships. And what I've noticed is that most of it, I'm working with ambitious women like myself. I'm also a survivor of toxic and narcissistic relationships. And most of us are ambitious women where we have figured out how to win in other areas of our lives. We're very, structured, make intelligent decisions. But for whatever reason, and there is a reason or reasons, that we can make poor decisions when it comes to relationships and find ourselves in relationships that do not match the other parts of our lives that are going well, right? So that is what I do. I help women to heal, to move on, and to rebuild their life, and make sure you get to a place where you're building a life that is full of peace, right? Peace in your relationships, peace in your decisions, overall peace and abundance, right? Because these relationships, although you may be able to be successful in other areas of your life, it's still holding you back, right? If you're able to be successful in other areas of your life, in those types of relationships or connected to those types of toxic people, imagine what your life would look like if you did not have that, right? It's still a barrier. So one of the DMs that I received, that I love this question, is why is it so hard to ignore them like they ignore us? So first of all, I want to say this is for those of you who more than likely are out of the relationship, right? But you still have an attachment to them, right? And you're trying to understand, how can they be so cold? And I've been there too. I've questioned myself, how can this person be so cold? How can they act like they don't even care? I'm hurting. I have this pain. They see me crying. You're almost pleading and begging them to act right, to show some type of compassion, to show that they understand the pain that they've caused you, right? And they just ignore you. They just go on with their life and they just ignore you. So I am going to help you not to only answer that question that I received, why is it so easy for them to ignore you, right? And it's not easy for you to ignore them in the way that they ignore you. But more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to be able to do that, where it no longer affects you. Okay? So the first step, and this is the way that I approach issues, concerns, problems with my clients. I break it up into 3 parts. First, I look at the dynamics in the relationship, right? The concern that you have. I look at the dynamics from their side, from the toxic person, toxic partner, or toxic exercise. Why are they functioning in the way that they're functioning? Now, what I see a lot happening is that, hold on one second. Okay, I don't know what that's about. One of the mistakes that I see happening is that people start there. They look at why they're doing what they're doing, why the toxic or narcissistic person is doing what they're doing, but then they stop there, right? So they study their behavior and then expect to heal from that. So no, I break it up into 3 parts. So I do start there. We do need to understand their side, right? Looking at the red flags, understanding their behavior, getting a bit clear as to what is the dynamics that's happening here, right? Because that's a question we ask ourselves, like, what is going on? Why is this person treating me like this? But then I take it a step further, which is the part that a lot of people don't feel comfortable with, and I look at, why am I handling things in the way that I'm handling it, right? What is my role? How am I responding to their behavior? Why am I responding in the way that I'm responding to their behavior, right? What is the role that I'm playing in this suffering that I'm experiencing? And then the third final part, which is the solution, what I call the solution part, is what is the shift now that I need to make? What is the mindset shift that I need to make in this entire situation to make sure that I don't continue to experience this pain and suffering, and physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, right? Okay. So the first step is understand why they're ignoring you, right? So the question was, why can I ignore them the way that they ignore me? So first of all, if we're looking at them, if you're asking why is it so easy for them to ignore you, the reality is many of these people, whether you consider them toxic or narcissistic, manipulative, right? Any type of personality type that is destructive to someone else, right? Let's just be clear about what toxic is. I like to do that because a lot of times, we're using these terms, they're trendy, we're hearing them everywhere, but they're also kind of thrown around and no one's really talking about what it actually means, right? So to simplify it, toxic person is someone who has a personality, a character trait that is destructive, right? So they're causing pain to others, even if there's some good moments or a mix of good and bad, right? Generally speaking, you are in distress because of this person, right? If you had to describe the relationship, you would describe it as unhealthy because this person comes along with problems, right? And it could be on a spectrum, right? It could be on a spectrum. For some people, it can be very far, where it can be psychological, emotional, and physical. And it could be on the lower end of the spectrum where there's no physical, but there is psychological, but it's quite hidden, right? It's just dropped in bits and pieces, right? Mixed in with some good. So it varies, right? But if we want to understand why they're behaving the way that they're behaving, why are they able to ignore you so easily? It's because they don't really feel, okay? One of the mistakes people make is that we assume everyone functions the same. And I always use the analogy as in the jungle. When you go into the jungle, you have different animals. They're all animals, but you have different animals and they all function differently. You cannot expect a rabbit to behave or respond in the same way that a lion would, right? They're two very different animals, right? And that is the same thing with us humans, right? So there are humans that are able to not feel, have compassion, right? They're able to turn the switch, as we call it, on and off because it was really never on to begin with. There are people that can pretend to attach, right? They can pretend to, let me not say attach, they can pretend to care, they can pretend to love, but it's really an attachment for convenience, right? So you may be convenient for them at that moment to be connected to for whatever reason, because you provide them with some type of attention that they like, you look good on their arm, you have something that benefits them for whatever reason, right? They can attach and they can mask that attachment with what looks like love, with what looks like, caring, genuine love, and that can last for years. It can last for years. Now, they do give a sign, they do give red flags that it's not real, but many of us, and I say us because I was there too, we ignore those red flags because we still want to believe the good side, right? So that is why it is easy for them to ignore you, because there was really no real attachment. It was not genuine, okay? So that is on their side. Now, if we look at your side, why is it hard for you to ignore them in the way that they ignore you? I'm going to challenge you to consider, are you looking at the situation 100% in reality? Are you looking at the situation for the severity that it really is? Why do I say that? When you are in the pain, and you feeling that pain, you do understand the severity of how they're treating you or how they've treated you, the disrespect, right? The betrayal. You understand that. But once that climax goes down, you still remember it, but not to that extent, if that makes sense to you, right? So what happens is you still yearn for their attention, right? Because if you remembered exactly what happened, if you remember the exact pain that happened and all the instances that happened, and I'm sure there are many, because most of the times toxic relationships are long-term relationships. If you remember the severity of it, you wouldn't even have a desire for them to give you any attention, right? You wouldn't even be bothered with the fact that they're ignoring you. When you come to a healed place, you're happy that they're ignoring you. You're happy that they're still not trying to reach out or even stalk you. Some of these people can become stalkers, right? So that is your role. There's a possibility, and this might take some time to really sit back and understand. There's a possibility that, hello, fabulous and 49. There's a possibility that you may not be looking at the situation with a clear view of how severe it is. Okay? So now let's talk about the solution. Like I said, I break this down into 3 parts, right? I break it down into the dynamics from their end, why they're functioning the way they're functioning, the dynamics on your end, why you're responding the way that you're responding and the role that you're playing in the situation, and the shift that you need to make now to end that suffering, right? And to learn and to evolve, right? And to work towards your healing. So the solution I have for you is to get a journal and a pen. Now, I know this sounds cliche. As a former mental health therapist, this is something I told to people all the time, and it worked. I got reports back that it worked, and and writing can look different for different people, different situations. But let me tell you, it was not until I went through my own situation, my own breakup in divorce from a toxic narcissistic ex, as well as having to deal with narcissistic family members all at the same time, talk about a heavy load, is when I actually started to use journaling. And journaling can look different, like I said, for different people. Some people might write 2 sentences a day. Some people might write affirmations. Some people might write whatever it is. But the assignment I'm going to recommend to you tonight here, if you are in a situation where you feel like it's hard for you to ignore them when they try to text you, it's hard for you to text them. It's hard for you not to text them back, right? When they call you, it's hard for you not to answer the phone. It's hard for you to not look at their social media or find out from mutual friends, what's going on. It's hard for you to ignore this person. Like I said, the possible reason is you are in denial, semi-denial about how severe the situation was or is, right? You're not always sitting in a place of 100% clarity about how detrimental it is for you to be in contact with them, right? For them to have access to you. These people can be so destructive. They are so destructive that even a text message can be destructive to you, right? They know exactly what to say to trigger you. They know exactly what to say to give you hope and make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, just to disappoint you again. It is a cycle of abuse. So when you realize that and that stays present in your mind, then you no longer even want them to have access to you. You're not even saying, how can I ignore them? Because it's easy for you, right? So here's the assignment. Get your journal, get a cute journal. As women, we like pretty things, right? And it doesn't have to be pink and glittery. We're grown women, but whatever it is, whatever that you like, that you're attracted to. And I want you to start writing down the experiences that you've had with them that has caused you a lot of pain. Now, I know this may be painful, right? So pick times where it's appropriate. And this is not to bring up pain, but it is to keep you grounded in why this person should never have access to you. And this is something I go deeper in the Relationship Detox, which is a course I have. If you're interested in it, it's in the link in my bio, or you can DM or comment me RD for Relationship Detox, and I'll send it to you or give you some more information on it. But this is the reason it's so important to go no contact. And this will help you to go no contact and to maintain, that's the key, maintain going no contact, is to keep fresh in your mind how detrimental it is for this person to ever have access to you. Okay? It's like poison, right? It's like saying, well, why doesn't the poison, let me just take a little sip here and there. Poison is poison. Okay? You're not even going to wonder where the bottle of poison is because you know it's not good for you. It's the same thing with them. The other thing I want you to write down is, what is your plan for the next 5 years? Now, this is something I go into deeply in my one-on-one coaching. We talk about future planning because what I realize is that most of the women that I work with are ambitious women. And we do always have a plan, right? we have something that we're working towards. It is very helpful. Sometimes we don't want to face it, but it's helpful to say, does this person fit into my plans? Not whether you want them to, because that's the mistake a lot of women make, is that you want them to fit into your plans. You have created a picture of what the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life is going to look like, and you put this person in it, right? I have a daughter. It's like taking one of her dolls and just putting her in on the board game. Like, okay, boop, you go here. No, it doesn't work that way. That person has to exhibit certain types of characteristics, certain types of qualities, certain types of morals and values in order to fit in to that board game. You can't just plop them there, right? So that is what I want you to do. I want you to take that pen and paper and start thinking, where do I want my life to be? What do I want it to look like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, even maybe? And does this person, the way that they're behaving, the way that they're carrying their own life, how responsible they are in their own life, the way that they're treating me, how does that fit into what I want to create? And the answer is more than likely going to be not. They don't fit in. How does it fit in how I want to show up as a mother, whether you're a mother now or want to be a mother in the future? This is a mistake I made. Okay, so what the suggestions, the guidance that I give my clients, yes, it comes from books and reading and so forth as well, but a lot of it also comes from what I've learned from my own experience and also learned from working with other women, right? So we have theory and we have practical, right? But I had to look at my life too, and by the grace of God, I did not start a family with that person. Welcome, Renee. I did not start a family with that person. But when I look back now, right, and that is that reality, that 100% reality and severity of how bad things were is always present. So it's not present in the sense where it's bringing me down, it's a burden, I don't feel well, whatever it is. I'm at peace, but I'm also clear and I'm also honest with myself. Right? And now that I'm in that space, I'm able to see, wow, I dodged a bullet. If I were to start a family with that person, the way they parent, the way they look at parenting, the way they look at being responsible, the way they look at what my role is as a woman in the house, as a mother, as a wife, the way they look at marriage, all of that. Those need to be in alignment. You have to ask yourself, is this person in alignment? And when you come to these answers, this writing assignment that I'm giving you, journaling, the experiences that you had with that person that led you even to this page, that led you to even identify this person as toxic, right? Understanding how severe it is and remembering how severe it is, not minimizing it, right? Just to make you feel better and maybe let you flirt with the idea of going back. Right? When you finish that assignment of, does this person fit into the 5-year future plan that I have for myself, the 10-year future plan? Are they in alignment with the person that I'm trying to become, with the life that I'm trying to create? You're going to come to the answer no. So anytime you flirt with the idea of, why is it hard for me to ignore them in the way that they ignore you, you go back to those pages. and you read that out. And not only will you easily be able to ignore them, but you will never and no longer have a desire for them to even have access to you. I hope that was helpful for you. Again, if you are watching the replay, comment below at least one gem that you got from this. And of course, if you have any questions, you can comment below. I'm always in my DMs, so go ahead and DM me. I know some of you asked about my coaching program. Currently, it is on pause until August. So I will post let me see, how will I do it? I will post my link in my stories. So always pay attention to my stories for my email list. And my email list will be the first to be updated for my one-on-one coaching schedule. But I'm also having something new coming out for you. So if the one-on-one is not something that you're ready for, I have something new. But either way, get on my email list so you can stay in the loop of what's coming. Again, I hope this was helpful for you. Renee, this is so good. Practical and clear. Thank you. That's what I like. I like practical and clear because I get frustrated, and there's some really great people out there helping people in this, struggling with this, there's a cover for every pot, as they say. But I do get frustrated when people are just talking about the toxic person, the narcissist, but we're not talking about the practical steps that you need to make to evolve. And that is where I think I help my clients to get their breakthrough, is that yes, they understand their role, the function and the role of the toxic or narcissistic person, but more importantly, they're able to have the practical steps to make the shift they need to make in their life. Because let me tell you something. Hey, K-Web. I've lost my train of thought. K-Web done came up here and made me lose my train of thought. Thanks, K-Web. Give me a second. Let me think. What was I saying? Oh, here we go. When you get to a place of healing from these types of relationships, it's deeper than just, I'm not in any pain anymore. It's deeper than just, I've moved on. That overflows into so many other areas of your life, right? It flows over into the types of relationship with your friends, the types of relationships with your family, the types of examples that you're setting for your children, your younger cousins, your nieces and nephews, and whoever else. Listen, people are always watching you, whether you know it or not. Even people who may not even like you are watching you. People your age, people older than you, right? So if you really are that type of woman, if you're similar to me, if you're here as a follower, you're probably similar to me, right? We know that life is bigger than us. Like, we're here to help each other. We're here to guide each other, right? So our lives, as much as possible, we want that to be an example for others, right? So the healing is deeper than just you feeling better. All right? Anyway, I will keep this short because I know people are going to be watching the replay. Thanks for joining me, ladies. All right. Have a good night.